change our game, or we're going to be forever just forgotten. So in 2024, it was an incredible year, and with the legislature governor, Louisiana is a success story in many ways. But what we've been able to pass, first off, we led off with a very widespread universal school choice program, the LA Gator, which will give the best opportunity for every individual when it's fully funded to individuals to get the best opportunity that they can for education. And so that was a leading mark. And then we followed up with legislation as far as for tax reform. We were able to create a 3% flat tax for individuals.
And what was it before?
It was variable taxes for various income and tax. So we went from 1.5 all the way up to, I believe it was 5.5, I believe at the time.
Americans are capable of achieving extraordinary things when they have the freedom and opportunity to do so. This is American Potential.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the American Potential Podcast. I'm your host, David Fromm. We're here at the State Policy Network annual meeting, where you'll find people from all over the country who are working to make freedom and opportunity stronger in their states. SPN works to give groups the tools they need to succeed, and we get the chance to hear from their stories. But some of the stories we get to hear are people's personal stories of how they got involved. So, have you ever been watching the news or scrolling through social media and seen a story and thought, somebody needs to do something about that? The real question is, do you stop there, or do you ask yourself, what can you do? Today's guest believes you can't complain about what's happening in your community if you're not willing to step up and be part of the solution. And that belief is what led him to make a major career change. We'll talk to him about what he did before working in politics and what he's doing now. I want to welcome Scott Simon, who's the State Director of Americans for Prosperity in Louisiana. Scott, thanks for letting us enjoy your state.
Hello, David, and welcome to Louisiana. It's a wonderful place to be, and it's so happy to have y'all down here.
Thanks for, that was great. I mean, obviously you got the nice, warm, humid weather that you always dial up for us here, but everybody loves coming to New Orleans. It's just, it's kind of a one-of-a-kind place in America. I kind of consider it one of the great American cities. Like, you kind of have to come and experience it at some point.
At least one time in your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, I did some great eating yesterday. I plan on doing some great eating today.
There you go.
But you guys are also doing wonderful stuff here from a policy standpoint, so I'm excited to get to that later. But first, I'm really interested, you just had an interesting life, an interesting career, and I kind of want to hear about it. So, like, what you started out as a fisherman, if I'm correct.
Very early in my life. Yes.
Yeah. Tell me how that went and how you ended up in politics eventually.
Oh, that was I guess you got a path with many right turns and left turns that got me there. But mainly early on, growing up in South Louisiana, I've hunted and fished and ever since an early age, and the opportunity got with a friend of mine to get on a trawl boat and just started fishing shrimp out of Empire, Louisiana, which is about 60 miles south of here. And it was a wonderful life, and it was a good calling, and really enjoyed it. And then, but of course, we got married, started having kids, and needed a little bit more of a steadier income, and then eventually left that for the construction work. And in fact, the building we're sitting in, I spent 11 months of my life working in this building.
No way.
Yes, so it's pretty cool. And then eventually we moved to the suburbs, get out of the city. The traffic was one of the things we dealt with back then, and went for the country life, and stayed with that. And then eventually I was doing construction work, and as it was in 2005, ended up being put in this chair because of the construction work. Oh. And couldn't build buildings anymore, so we went to school, got an architecture degree, and started designing buildings. So we couldn't build anymore, we were designing. And then that's kind of my career leading up to the decision back in about 2006, 2007, when we decided we wanted to make a difference. But there was a lot of things that led to that decision, but mainly it was just about getting involved in community, and one thing led to another. So here we are. So kind of a not direct path, but a fun path we had.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's some interesting different life experiences and jobs. And So, one of the things we talk about as a company at Americans for Prosperity is, how people got involved, like their one small step, how someone took a step to get involved to make a difference in their community. And you clearly have done that. What led you to get involved in your community and actually start, doing things to try to improve people's lives?
Sure. My children started getting of age to get into the rec department and the getting involved in sports and moving to a rural community. If you're looking for something to get done, you look around and you might be the only one standing there. And that led to it. So actually, it was a story. We was out and the kids were playing ball and they had the umpire calling the game and they had the people working the concession stands. And the games were over and everybody was leaving. And I realized that the man calling the game, the umpire, was one cleaning the field afterwards and marking the fields, and the people working the concession stand were his kids. And I said, well, we want to improve this, so we just got to get started one day. So just started showing up, doing a little bit more and more and more, and getting involved. And that was kind of the journey, the one step that it took to say that if you want to get it done, just step up and be part of it. So that kind of led on a road of getting more and more involved. And we got involved in church activities, created a youth group that hadn't been there for a while, and then got involved in more of the community work. And just one thing led to another. And the more you did, the more they wanted you to do. And that's how these small communities work. But it was a welcoming challenge and responsibility. And just things kind of grew from there.
That's wonderful. I as a dad who's, watched kids play baseball and have that game wrapped up, I hope I'd be as thoughtful to think about that and get involved. But so that led you eventually to run for state office.
Yeah.
How'd you make that decision?
That's an interesting one, and if my wife was here, she'd probably be laughing right now. We were actually at a retirement party for a good friend of ours who was retiring from the Abita Springs Town Council. And another friend of mine at the table said, the state representative for this area is running for state office. This seat is going to now be open. Why don't you consider running for state representative? And my wife put a drink down and said, I'm going to the restroom, and when I come back, I would like that story to be changed, and we were talking about something else. And by the time she came back, I was a full-fledged candidate for the state representative position, District 74 from North St. Tammany Parish. So that was an interesting story, but that's how it started. It was not like a decision that was kind of pondered. It was just the opportunity arose. And but what made it really, really easy to do was throughout our work in the community and throughout all the different venues that we got involved in and things we did, we created this can-do attitude of activists and volunteers that just showed up for every event that was going on. And so, being involved in the community to run in a race was kind of a natural flow. And it just, everyone who was there with us when we started was there with us throughout the race. And oftentimes, our campaign for a state rep seat was compared to a congressional race with the amount of volunteers that were showing up, the events that we're putting on. And there was not any paid staff on our campaign team, but we were knocking doors 7 days a week with all volunteers. So it was an interesting run, and of course the victory was secured, and that was kind of the road that got us there. But it all started with community action, taking it one first step, and it just built up from there.
So did you have a competitive race, pretty competitive race when you first ran? There
were 6 people running for an open seat, and we were 6 votes shy of winning on the open ticket on the primary race. And then with that said, the second place finisher dropped out a couple weeks later, and we were sworn in not too long after that.
That's awesome. So when you were serving in the legislature, what did you really focus on, and what did you really feel good about, when you look back on that?
That was an interesting time. Term limits were just coming into place. I was not a product of term limits because the person I took the seat of course, had another term, but there was going to be an opportunity because there was going to be a new governor, and who ended up winning was the leader at the time was Governor Bobby Jindal. And it looked like a reform time was heading to Louisiana. and it was great opportunity to be involved in, and we just wanted to be part of that change. So we came in with a lot of excitement, a lot of energy to really put Louisiana on a path forward. And one of the main issues at the time was ethics reform. Sometimes we might not have the most famous, well, who does though, as far as politics in the state, but we were tasked with the responsibility of trying to straighten that out and making it a more
ethics reform in Louisiana politics. That's a pretty high mountain to climb there.
That was, and it was a challenge. With
a
that
lot
said,
of history there.
And like any other legislation, nothing is perfect. So we created a lot of great opportunities, but oftentimes we also create a lot of problems too. But that was a big thing, and then creating a better tax policy was a big deal. But also we started school reform long before school reform was coming, and Louisiana has always been at the bottom of the list when it comes to education achievement. So there was a lot of initiatives that were taking place, and it was a great time to get elected, to be part of it, and to be excited about the change that was coming for Louisiana.
That's fabulous. So we actually had the opportunity to talk when you first interviewed to become the state director for Louisiana for Americans for Prosperity. And so I kind of reflect on that pretty fondly. I was like, who's this guy? Yeah. This guy with this, this guy's so Louisiana. It's wonderful. Yeah. And, but I mean, your time here has been very productive working for leading the Americans for Prosperity chapter. You guys have really accomplished a lot of really good, reforms, with the new governor coming in. Talk a little bit about what you've accomplished over the last few years here at AFP Louisiana.
Well, that's been, when we got here, there was a sense of optimism. After I got out of legislature, there was a 4-year stint between getting out and then the opportunity to get involved with AFP. And it's the same optimism I had when I decided to run back in 2006 was the same optimism I felt in Louisiana. We knew we were going to get a good conservative governor with the right mindset, and we pretty much knew it was going to be Governor Jeff Landry, who was running an incredible campaign at the time. But we also saw we was moving into supermajority territory with both the House and the Senate. So when the opportunity came for me, it was like, this is a deja vu. I remember this opportunity back in 2005, and sure enough, turned out to be, we were very successful at the ballot box. We at the 21 races we got involved in, our activists knocked doors, made calls, and we had 18 out of 21 elected, including the governor, Jeff Landry. So, and of those 18, many of them, all of them, are policy champions for Louisiana who have made some incredible votes over the last couple of years.
Well, I just want to stop you there. I think that's really important. One of the ways that AFP engages is politically to elect policy champions, and passing great legislation doesn't happen by accident, right? It's great if you can bring everyone along who's already in the legislature and convince them to pass education reform and economic reform. But the reality is, a lot of times you need to replace people with better legislators.
People that see things, yes. And
that's hard work.
And we often hear at AFP is getting involved in elections, get involved early, and getting good candidates.
Yep.
And we spent a lot of time and energy doing exactly that, interviewing people, visiting with people, seeing them in their hometown, seeing what they're doing, and getting a good feel for who they are, and not only as somebody with the right talk, but do they walk the walk? Mm-hmm. And so it was a good experience overall. But yes, getting people elected that feel that they're ready to get it done is a big step. And we were very fortunate, and that has definitely paid off for Louisiana.
So what are some of the highlights that you guys passed?
Oh, let me tell you, just go back a little bit further. Just keep in mind that in 1950, let me just preface it by this. In 1950, Louisiana and Florida both had 8 congressional seats together. So since that, fast forward now, Florida now has 28 seats, congressional seats. and Louisiana is down to 6.
Wow.
So we were charged with the opportunity. We either got to change our game, or we're going to be forever just forgotten. So in 2024, it was an incredible year, and with the legislature and governor, Louisiana is a success story in many ways. But what we've been able to pass, first off, we led off with a very widespread universal school choice program, the LA Gator, which will give the best opportunity for every individual when it's fully funded to individuals to get the best opportunity that they can for education. And so that was a leading mark. And then we followed up with legislation as far as for tax reform. We were able to create a 3% flat tax for individuals.
And what was it before?
It was variable taxes for various income and tax. Yep. So we went from 1.5 all the way up to, I believe it was 5.5, I believe at the time, three levels, and we brought it all down. But what that does, it sets us up for eventually eliminating, and we're working towards no income tax in Louisiana. And we did the same thing with the corporate income tax. We eliminated the franchise tax. And so there was a lot of things that was done on the taxing level. And then this past year, we even did incredible work in that we passed the REINS Act, which goes a long way in giving stability to businesses by getting out of the bureaucratic stronghold that strangles so many states across the country, and put the emphasis and the power back in the hands of the people and the elected officials, which was an incredible win. So there was a lot of wins along the way that have made Louisiana a major player and has created a great opportunity for Louisiana to move forward. So we're very optimistic here that things are going well. And Louisiana, to me, is a success story. And it's even said in as many people know, the rich man, poor man states from ALEC, they put out the rankings.
Yep.
And Louisiana has made the biggest jump this past year with economic opportunity.
Really?
And so a lot of great things are going on. And but the bottom line is we got to continue if we want to capitalize on those improvements.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of states doing great things, and
Yes.
I happen to live in Illinois. That's not one of them that's doing great things, but there are a lot of states doing some really great things, great reforms to really unleash the economic potential, the education potential, to unleash a lot of potential in their states. So I'm really excited about that. And Louisiana is definitely one of those. It's when you get great leadership and strong leadership and a well-aligned legislature, with strong leadership and principled leadership from the AFP chapter, you can really accomplish great stuff. And I'm so excited to what you guys are doing here, because Louisiana was one of those states where people are like, nah, you got corruption. It's nice that you got New Orleans stuff, but now you guys are are doing some really great things. And I think it's a really desirable place that people would want to locate. And I imagine that's the next step. It's like you pass good policy and you try to get people to come, start their businesses, grow the ones they have here, come and locate here.
Yeah, you're right. And there's a good vibe feeling in Louisiana that we go on. But let's just take it back a little bit further, though. Where does it start? We talked about my legislative career and my background, and I'm going to tell you, but it wasn't long after I was in the legislation to where all these great policies and all these great changes, are great when you're on a campaign trail, but when you get in the Capitol, sometimes politics steps in. Sometimes who knows what happens, but it became very frustrating at the time because we had all these dreams and we were going down the road. But what happened was, what was a light bulb moment for me was when I realized if you want good policy passed is when individuals get involved. And every legislator I know wants to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was when the people get behind a cause, it makes that job a whole lot easier for legislators and governors to get it done. So that's what the opportunity we had with AFP and what we're capitalizing on is when you can get the public involved, when we can get people to get up and at least take an action with what's going on, that's when you really have the chance for change. And not only is it change that comes abroad, there's also ownership that comes with that. And it was incredible how we had these volunteers working phone banks and trying to get people elected or trying to get policy passed. And on election day, when those names were called out, it was just a euphoric feeling that, wait, I had something to do with that. So, so when you're talking about policy change, it's not just the elected officials. Yes, we give them what they need to get it done, and we hopefully will be able to enhance their ability by creating this movement and getting people involved. So kudos to the legislature, but also kudos to the people of Louisiana who are demanding change. And so it's going to happen.
Yeah, you make a great point. I mean, Americans for Prosperity at its core is a grassroots organization, right? And
Sure.
without real people going and taking action and making their voice heard, we don't really affect the process the way that we would like to. I mean,
Yes.
I always say that AFP's real strength is really bringing together those voices into one voice and amplifying those individual voices by combining it with other ones so that a legislator can either feel the heat and be like, whoa, maybe I need to listen to my people, or can feel the pat on the back that they deserve for doing the right thing. And I think that is it's pretty powerful. We've seen over, a few decades now that we've been doing this, is like, when you mobilize the voices of the people for reform and to make your state better, you can really accomplish some great things, whether that's at the ballot box and then with policy, or just, influencing the legislature to try to pass, things that are going to make people's lives better. And I mean, you guys are really doing that here. It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, you're right. It is. And a good friend of mine told her early on in my legislative career that bad policies we pass in a minute. It's good policies that take time, and that's the ones that you have to nurture and you have to bring along. And that's where, one thing, nobody casts a vote except the legislators. But they do want assurances that they're doing the right thing, because most of them really want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
We just need to bring an assurance to them. This is the right thing by the voice of the people. So it's an incredible journey that AFP has put me on, and I'm excited about it. And we're really excited about the path that Louisiana is heading forward. So it's great.
Well, your story, like your journey to community service in the legislature, now obviously trying to pass great public policy as the state director for AFP Louisiana. I mean, any advice for folks, particularly younger folks who are in their career? They're not, they're yelling at the TV, or they're reading the paper online and kind of are upset about something. Like, what's the best way that they can make a difference or take action to make a difference in their community?
Because in my way, it was just like getting off the couch and seeing what needed to be done to take an initiative. But bottom line is there are so many avenues. AFP in Louisiana is out there every day trying to bring people involved. But the main thing is, even if it's not in the political world, you can make the world a better place, or your community a better place, by just getting involved in the needs. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be on the billboard. You can see the needs just by being around. And if you have a complaint, you probably have a need. And if you feel frustrated, then you probably need to get off the couch and move into it. But it's a great opportunity to get involved with AFP. We'd love to have you if you really feel the need. But bottom line is, community-wise, there are just so many avenues, and it's not a direct path for anyone. It's really a self-aligned path you're going to have to create. But just take the initiative and get involved.
It's great, man. Well, you've done that. You've lived that in your life. And I think you're a wonderful inspiration to a lot of folks doing that in your life. That. And I love to see how your leadership is paying dividends here in Louisiana. I'm excited about what you guys are doing. And I'm so glad you joined us here. And thanks for having us in your city.
Well, I appreciate you coming. You got a little bit of time left to keep enjoying it. And hopefully you don't work this whole convention and you have time to really see the city. But you're welcome anytime. I appreciate the time, and look forward to many great things.
Thanks, Scott. All right, cool.
Take care.
Well, folks, if you like this episode and would like to stay connected with the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, as well as following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And always remember, liberty and freedom are easily taken for granted. Don't take it for granted. Go out there and defend freedom and liberty. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to American Potential. You may listen to more stories from Americans working every day to expand freedom and opportunity in their communities by visiting AmericanPotential.com.